Alright, so it's gonna be about the next Battlefield. Um, so I find that rumor or that leak that it might be World War One very amazing, and I wanted to make this video in order to address kind of some people's concerns about World War One, and yeah, and I know people already dislike this video because I have a funny voice. I know I do. Don't worry. Um, However, back to World War One and Battlefield. No, in the background you're gonna see two games. One's me playing Battlefield 4 with a bolt action rifle. I didn't do too good, except towards the end of that one, and then you're gonna see Verdun, which is a World War One FPS. And yeah. So this is sort of in response to Matimia's video, cause well he said a World War One Battlefield wouldn't work, and I disagree with that. Like, and this is to other people's points too. Like, some people like, first we'll address this. One of the things he and some others said, like in the comment section and such, is that there would be a lack of variety of weapons. Like, he was like, oh, everyone just had bolt actions and he said magnums, which yeah, I'm guessing he means revolvers, but that's not true. Like, World War One probably had, to me, one of the most variety of weapons in it. Like, you not only had the bolt actions, but there were a lot of different types of bolt actions. Like, you didn't just have, like, like Car 98s and Springfields. You had the Lebel. The Lebel was an amazingly unique French bolt action rifle that had an 8-round tube magazine. If you don't know what a tube magazine is, because you're not that into guns, but tube magazines, like, there's a tube under the barrel, and the rounds, instead of being stacked up in a magazine, like in a regular rifle, or I would say regular back then, like a lever action, where you put them into a tube. The Bell was really unique because it had 8 rounds, and it was made in. It's the first smokeless powder rifle. Well, military rifle. But you also had the Ross rifle, which was a very unique Canadian rifle. It didn't do too good due to a bad British supply of ammunition to the Canadians. They gave them a lot of bad ammo, which caused the Ross to malfunction a lot. You had. This is just going over the bolt action right now, but you also had you had lever actions. The Russians used the Winchester 1894, I believe. Let me search. I'm pretty sure it's the Russian. 1895. Yeah, it's the Winchester 1895. They had a Winchester specifically make them in 7.62 by 54R, or basically the Mosin Nagant cartridge. So yeah, you had a lever action, you had bolt actions, you had semi-automatic rifles. Remember, you had the French issued a semi-automatic rifle. The Germans, in a very small number, had the Mondragon, however you say it. It's a Mexican designed rifle that was made by Switzerland that they sold to Germany. But yeah, you had all these. You had submachine guns, like you had the MP-15, which was really, it was more of like, so it was weird. It was kind of looked like a Sten, but had a big weird magazine on the side, and you had tons of different pistols, lots of different pistols. You had you had the Luger, you had the Webley revolver, you had the 1911, you had the Mauser broom handle, you had tons of different revolvers, tons of different semi-automatics. Like, you even had a carbine, what I would call carbine versions of these pistols. Like, you could put the stock on the Mauser broom handle to turn it into a carbine. You had the artillery Luger. Go look up artillery Luger, which here I'll artillery Luger. It's just crazy looking It's a Luger with like a really long barrel. You also had which one's this? And it also could be attached with a stock and a snail drum. I think it was called a snail drum. It was like it gave your Luger like it turned your Luger into like a little semi-automatic rifle with like tons of ammo because it had a drum mag. I'm like also he's so you even had you had a lot of light machine guns. You had the bar. Everybody knows about the bar. World War I. You had the Madsen light machine gun. You had the Shawshat. Everybody knows that, being one of the worst rifles ever made, or guns ever made, which it wasn't actually that bad. Clean conditions, not in mud, it worked fine. But yeah, you had all the. You even had a. If we they include the Russian front, you even had an assault rifle. Yeah, a lot of people consider the STG the first assault rifle, but it's technically not really the first assault rifle. The Federer Automat. It's a weird Russian gun. It had a really weird. It's just a really weird gun to look at. Go like it was used in World War I. You even had a lot of the Winchester 1907, which was a semi-automatic rifle that was used by the Russians. Yeah, center fire. You had a lot of different rifles during World War I, and all different types of guns. We even still have rear echelon troops, which would be like your guys you leave in the back to your crap guys. They even had black powder guns, like really old guns. They were just tons of different guns in World War I. Another thing is he said that the battlefields would be. Mattimia said the battlefields would be kind of boring because he said, "Oh, World War I is just trenches." No, it's not. That's the Western Front. And that's just what's most famously publicized because that's where, America, England, and France fought. The people who are making the movies. But there were many different fronts in World War I. You had, you had the versus the Russians on the Eastern Front. You had the Austro-Hungarians versus the Italians in the mountains, which I would love to see that recreated, like mountain fighting with bolt actions and light machine guns, and which would be great. You had the Yugoslavian front. You had tons and tons of different countries all fighting each other all throughout Europe. I mean, I'm gonna say that like people are so misinformed about World War I and what they think it is. That's because you don't really have it in games a lot. I mean, we got some strategy games, some mods for games, and we have Verdun. That's probably all the World War I games I can think of. I would honestly say go check out the channel The Great War if you want to learn about World War I as a whole. If you just want to learn about the weapons used in World War I, check out Sea and Arsenal. I'm going to put both of those channel links down in the description. There's two great channels if you just want to learn about World War I. Like, they're honestly, the Great War, that channel honestly has movie, or not movie, but documentary, like TV documentary quality for YouTube videos. And it's just great. What else? Vehicles. People are like, oh, there's not going to be any vehicles, Wrong again. There were quite a few vehicles used during World War I. As you know, it's the first war that had tanks in it. You had the British tanks, the weird rhomboid-shaped ones that had 3 guns on each side. You had the German tanks. You had the French Renault FT, the first tank to have a true turret. I mean, it was tiny, but it was still a tank. You had armored cars. You had lots of armored cars, which not a lot of people recognize because they're not actually shown. If you search World War I armored car, you get these kind of weird boxy-looking things that kind of look like they just look like cars with armor welded to them, and machine guns put on top, and that's what an armored car was, just a car with armor. Lots of machine guns. You have lots of machine guns, maybe some auto cannons, maybe 20 millimeter small ones. But yeah, you had like a lot of things that people don't think are in World War One. I mean, like there would be all types of fighting, and you could even do sort of an Operation Locker with Fort Dumont if you wanted to. I mean, honestly, like I think that a World War One battlefield would really change the world of AAA games. Because how many times can we do modern warfare? How many times can we do futuristic craft that doesn't even make any sense? I mean, World War II is great, and I know a lot of people want to return to World War II, but it's been done a lot, and I love World War II. I love all historic wars. I even own a gun from World War II, whole reproduction of one. I have a M1 carbine. Great gun, great little rifle. But yeah, like, but we need more. We need more of World War One games, honestly, and I really think a World War One battlefield could work great. Like I think Verdun has shown us that World War One FPS games can work. I mean, Verdun's great, but it's not AAA game quality. It's running on the Unity engine. It has a very small team making it. It's it's an indie World War One shooter, and it's fun playing, but it's not a AAA game. It still needs a lot of polish, especially if you go watch some gameplay of the British in Verdun. The Webley revolver has just a really stiff animation. Like a lot of the animations need improved. There still needs to be a lot of work. And if you're thinking, well, how would it work with Battlefield Squad system? Verdun already has kind of the squad system laid out, sort of. I mean, different countries have different squads and different unit setup. But here's how I would set up a Battlefield type squad. Let's say if we stick to only having 4 people, like Battlefield, I would put officer, rifleman, LMG, grenadier. So your officer officer has not really been in Battlefield. So, I guess you could take that one class from Battlefield 2, where your officer is going to be your guy calling in things like calling in artillery. He's going to be calling in spots, I guess, not spots, but he's going to be your guy. He's going to be your officer, your commanding guy, I guess, for your squad. Officers in World War One weren't usually allowed to carry rifles. They usually were only allowed to carry pistols. So he would now that's being said, some officers did use rifles. That being said, they would easily have tons of pistol ammo. They would be a very close-up guy, moving, kind of commanding the troop. Like, I know it sounds weird in Battlefield, but I think it could work. You would have like a lot of squad bonuses, I guess. Like I said, calling things in, maybe designating what to attack, like attack this, attack that, all that stuff. The rifleman is what I'm gonna say is the half rifleman, half sniper class, because I think that's the way it would work. Because I mean, you're either gonna, as the rifleman, I'd probably give him bolt actions and the semi-automatics, just for that, because the semi-automatics are basically they're fairly large semi-automatics, and the automat, the assault rifle. Which, how do you keep the assault rifle being overpowered? You just make it do less damage. So yeah, he's also gonna be your medic. He's gonna be it's kind of like how it is now, but add sniper scopes into that. So you're gonna be able to, be the rifleman. But if you want to be a sniper, you just put the sniper scope on your rifle, because there are many different scopes for in World War One. Like each country had their own scope. Oh, I just saw something for the officer. Calling in gas attacks. This like Verdun, but kind of maybe different, calling gas attacks or calling in an airstrike. No, yeah, an airstrike, but I'm not sure how officer would work, but I got the rest of the three classes down. Now, light machine gunner is going to have semi-automatic rifles and light machine guns like the Shawshat, the Bar, um, MGU 815, the Madsen, I guess you can include the American Shawshat, Shosho. That was a even worse version, but it's slightly different than the regular Shoshat. It shoots 30-06 instead of 8 mm Lebel. Um, yeah, but he's gonna have light machine gun. He's gonna be your basically how it is in Battlefield 4 right now. He's gonna be your light machine gun guy. He's gonna give out ammo, stuff like that. Then your Grenader is really gonna be your engineer anti-tank guy. I would give. I would honestly maybe make him like, maybe not call him Grenader. Maybe like Bombarder or some type. Because I kind of want to give this class grenades, lots of grenades. Because and the MP8 submachine guns, that one at submachine gun that was in World War I, he's gonna have pistols, like small carbine pistols, like what I said with the Luger and the Mauser broom handle, that you can make them in the carbines, but you can then make them into yeah, that's going to be on your Grenader guy plus his grenades. Now he's also going to have, since there were no RPGs in World War I, he's going to have the anti-tank rifle, the Tigor, just to take out armored vehicles along with his grenades. So he's going to have submachine guns, carbines, pistols, anti-tank rifle, explosives like dynamite and stuff like that. What else? I think that's primarily it for the most part. I mean, I would really love to see a World War One or Battlefield game. I mean, I can't even imagine what the Somme or Fort Dumont or any battle of World War One would look like in with the graphics of Star Wars Battlefront. Um, it just I'd love a World War One FPS game, because a good one. I mean, Verdun's fine, but I'd like a AAA game with lots of money put into it. And I think that having those bolt actions for the most part, and having guns without all these optics and out all these special kit things that just kind of ruin the game for me. I mean, Battlefield 4 is fun, but it's a lot of the stuff they added just kind of doesn't make sense. Like all those, like, support class, just having all this not support stuff. I was going to say it, like Call of Duty kill streak, things that you get in a Call of Duty kill streak. Another thing I'd say is keep guns restricted to that country, like Verdun has it. So I'm not a German running around with an American rifle and a Russian pistol. You know, like you can keep them class and nation based. I think that would be better, except for in like free for all. Like free for all, you can take free for all, or maybe like small team deathmatch game modes. Who cares? I think, but in the big game modes, I would keep it as realistic as possible. Having Germans using German weapons, or what they would use during the German war. All basically realistic for the most part. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I think I went over everything and why I think a World War One Battlefield would work. It would be very unique among AAA games, since Call of Duty is just putting out futuristic crap, and nobody's really making a unique FPS game anymore. And if this is World War One, which I would love it to be, it could be a lot of fun. If not, I'm probably not going to get the next Battlefield. I mean, it just, if it's futuristic, which some people said it might be, I definitely won't get it. If it's just another Modern Warfare or Cold War game, I might. So yeah, bye.
Right, well, Peter said I'm going right, so I'm going right. Alright, I'm in on. Oh no, I died! Ready for death! No! Alright, I spawn left, I'll be going left. Spawn left. Alright. Oh, those computers. Alright, welcome to check one left. Oh man, I almost had it. Oh hey, somebody got in at least. That's cool. Yep. I agree with that one. Alright, I'm gonna go right. Alright, I'm in on the right side. Right.